Hello, and welcome to a new era of Seen Any Good Films Lately, because on my 51st edition of the show, I've got a major Hollywood exclusive for you.
And I burst out laughing, and I was actually taken off this. I was removed from the set at 10. I should have known then.
Yep, that is Johnny Depp speaking to me in his only UK broadcast interview, talking about the next steps in his tarnished career and about his latest film, Minimata, in which he plays renowned Life magazine photographer Eugene Smith. I'll be talking to Johnny Depp in a Seen Any Good Films Lately special after I tell you what I've been watching. I have been running my eye over a host of good films lately, as I've just finished programming my first ever film festival. Yes, it's pastures new for me. Even after this many years in the film game, I've never put together such a programme before. And it's all for the brilliant Green Man Festival. They've given me the giant Cinedrome to look after this year, and I've selected 23 superb films for it, running from 10 a.m. in the morning with new animations such as Moonbound, Dogtanion, and Ainbo, Spirit of the Amazon. I got those for the kids and their extremely hungover parents to gawp at and just kind of ease themselves into the day. Then we move into more matinee stuff, including the gorgeous Gunda, about a pig on a farm, Japanese sports and manga doc, The Witches of the Orient, and the fascinating musical journey of Malian singer Inamoja in The Great Green Wall.
My home is embattled by desertification and drought, migration and conflict. Restoring the land is a matter of survival. It's up to us to create an African dream.
I've got some exclusive previews, including Mark Cousins' The Story of Looking, French urban fantasy Gagarine, and Kathy Brady's searing tale of two sisters on the Irish border in Wildfire. Kathy will be there for a Q&A after that screening, and Marley Morrison's summer holiday coming-of-age tale, Sweetheart, is also featured. I'm also really pleased to showcase some African cinema with the classic restoration of Ousmane Sembène's Mandabi, and the amazing new release from Philippe Lacotte, Night of the Kings, set in a notorious Ivorian prison.
Si tu continues à me manquer de respect, Las, tu ne seras plus protégé. Et toi, Yen, tu redeviendras agneau. Une proie que tout le monde voudra croquer.
Qu'est-ce que tu veux dire par là?
Si tu perds ma protection, tu deviendras un simple valet.
Moi, Las, un simple valet? Tu veux la guerre?
Tu me menaces?
Ouvre les yeux, barbe noire, et regarde autour de toi.
And I've got music docs such as Julian Temple's Crock of Gold, featuring Shane MacGowan, and of course, my guest, Johnny Depp. I've got White Riot, both of those films I've featured on the show over the last 50 episodes, so just go back and refer to them to kind of get up to speed. I've got the wonderful Polystyrene, I'm Not a Cliche, by her daughter, Celeste Bell, and Sisters with Transistors too, directed by Lisa Rovner, who was also on the show. And there's the festival premiere of Jazz on a Summer's Day, a new 4K restoration by Curzon of one of my favourite films of all time, when fashion photographer Bert Stern filmed at the hipster enclave of the Newport Jazz Festival in 1958.
Hi everyone, this is Donna March, and if you can hear that music in the background, I bet you can guess where we are tonight. We're at the Jazz Festival, and let me tell you, it is really wonderful.
There's local Welsh action too, with black comic thriller The Toll, starring Michael Smiley and talent such as Iwan Rheon, who'll be introducing the film and following it up with a Q&A with the writer Matt Red. And for Midnight Madness, how's about this? I've got another recent SAGFUL guest, Aubrey Plaza, in the frazzling Black Bear. So, I think that's a pretty good lineup for my first stab at it. Let me know what you think. Running my eyes across that lot has kept me more than busy. Yeah, I'm just getting nervous that it all goes well down at Green Man. I'll, of course, be reporting back from the festival, hopefully with a nice live podcast recording with one of my special guests. But now, talking of special guests, here's Johnny.
Gene, what the hell?
People are dying, Robert.
Yeah, all day, every day. It doesn't mean you get to fuck up my layout.
Oh, God damn it. Am I interrupting your little layout? Now, you guys just go on and make room for your fucking oil of Olay ads while innocent people drop like flies, huh, Bob?
You're talking about Minamata.
Yeah. See, she knows. She's smart. Is there anybody else here as smart as her?
A factory there has been contaminating the bay of some fishing village.
See?
First they called it the strange disease, then dancing cat fever, and now it's simply called Minamata disease.
It's fucking monstrous.
I've been following it in the Herald and the Times, small stories every couple of months.
But no one has really covered it. I mean, it's in the goddamn fish. And that's all those poor people have to eat.
The Times has a Tokyo desk.
And we have deadlines literally in 1 hour.
So that sounds to me, Bob, like, yeah, time is of the essence. And you know that the cover-up is gonna be as much of a story as the story itself. I gotta go, come on.
You expect me to send you?
You'd be a real dumbass not to.
Yeah, it's time for Johnny Depp, who's been maintaining a silence recently following the acrimonious and damaging libel trial in the UK High Court against the Sun, who accused him of being a wife-beater. He lost that case, but in it, he revealed details of his drug intake and that there were bouts of violence during his relationship with Amber Heard. It was all a bit unseemly, to be honest, especially in the middle of this pandemic. And Johnny has now basically been cancelled. I mean, it happens to everyone at the moment. But he's been let go from the huge franchise of Fantastic Beasts. Frankly, the sooner that lumpen series comes to an end, the better. He's been shunned by feminist groups and fans from these revelations. However, his latest film, Minimata, which he's accused of being buried in the US, is being released in the UK. It's in cinemas August the 13th, and it sees him return to indie movies. And his performance is all the better for it, playing photographer Eugene Smith, who in 1971 was persuaded out of a jazz and alcoholic retirement to cover a story about mass poisoning in a fishing village in Japan called Minimata, the poisoning being done by the waste of a large chemical corporation. The pictures Eugene Smith took had huge impact around the world and lifted the lid on the pollution's disastrous human effects. I was allowed to speak to Johnny Depp about the film for a special Q&A session with him and the director, Andrew Levitas, that will go out in cinemas after each screening. I wasn't really allowed to stray off topic and into anything personal, but gradually I got what Johnny's been up to, and I got what the future holds for him. But of course, I began by asking about his portrayal of bearded, beret-wearing, beatnik photographer Eugene Smith in Minimata.
I knew a bit about Gene Smith over the years, just based on more than anything, his work as a war correspondent, the famous photographs. And then I sort of got obsessed with the idea that he was known as W. Eugene Smith. And I asked this photographer, Mary Ellen Mark, who had worked with Smith many years before, I said, what did the W stand for? And she said, here's what he used to say when he was asked the same question. He would say, wonderful. So I became obsessed with that kind of personality trait of a guy that just says, the W is Gene Smith is wonderful. And I thought, what a beautiful. So that was really, I suppose, if there was any seedling to this representation of Eugene Smith, it's based on that.
What did you do to get to him physically? Because it's, as always with you, it's a great physical performance. You inhabit the character. Did you look at photographs of him? Did you see footage of him, or did you bring some, other, bohemian jazz-loving photography characters to it?
Eugene Smith seemed to me like one of those on the sort of teetering into, another world, which would have been an abstract world, especially. During the 50s, he was very bohemian before his time, I suppose, almost before that kind of bohemianism, He was a weathered old wagon and really didn't want to go out on the tromp anymore until Minamata arrived at his front door. I always saw him as this sort of sort of curmudgeonly character who just seen too much and heard too much and was tired of talking almost. And then Minamata brought him back into a position of caring again.
I wondered if the beret was a key to having him. It's a great beret that you've got there. Do you still have the beret?
I do, yeah. I do still have the beret. I grew very fond of it. Gene Smith, was the quintessential image of Eugene Smith to me is him in that beret with a couple of cameras strapped around his neck, and with the eyes of someone who marches forward and has really no particular idea what's going to happen to them. He sort of had those eyes, if you know what I mean.
What did it bring to you, Johnny, working? Because you're working with Japanese actors. I don't know if it's something that rubs off. There's a certain style to that school of acting. It's ancient, and we go back to kabuki and the whole thing. Did it bring something to you?
Oh, very much, because it's a culture that is predominantly raised to respect not only their space but other people's space. There's a wonderful giving and a freedom of giving. It's like a hero. When I saw the amount of work that he was doing, certainly as an actor, his work was impeccable. It was a straight shot to the heart. Same with Minami, same with, straight down to the extras were absolutely amazing. But when I saw the work that he was doing when he wasn't working, he was still working. And on set, whether it was teaching extras how maybe little bits on how to act or to react to something, to be natural or whatever. He was painting signs. The guy was doing props. He was doing everything, and that's an act of giving, and a constant act of giving. Minami has the same quality in terms of the respect that they approach you with, and she has indeed. There were times it was very difficult to not just break and sort of go, oh, okay, all right, during scenes, because those little peepers are looking up at you, those little eyes are looking up at you, and you're going, oh my God, she's burning holes in me. No, it was really a great experience in that way, and learned a lot about their culture. Certainly, it's always been a fascinating culture to me. It's beautiful, and they were the most giving actors I've ever seen.
Are you a photographer yourself? Amateur or gifted? Because with this, you have to, you couldn't just sort of fumble around with a camera. You have to be at home with it. It's Eugene's tool.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's an extension of him. So taking pictures before on and off for years, still having very little understanding of the camera. And for example, the scene outside the factory, the sort of revolt, really trying to push film through that camera and get shots. That was the focus. That's the only focus I could have during that sort of chaotic pandemonium, to try to get real shots of these people. So I would check with our cinematographer and say, listen, what's the stop and blah blah blah. But at the same time, you're dodging elbows and signs and things like that. So it was all that was quite real, and it turned out, oddly, because I thought none of them were going to come out. Some of the photographs actually came out. Andrew told me.
Your Eugene reminded me a little bit of your Hunter S. Thompson in Fear and Loathing, Johnny, right, where they always said to him that he was he told complete stories, but managed to get to the truth. Some of his reportage was heralded as the least accurate, but the most truthful.
Exactly. One of the best descriptions of all time.
And I wondered if there was a bit of that you brought to Eugene too.
I think that there's very much a kindred spirits in Hunter and Gene Smith. I reckon that they would have been, you can imagine, say, Hunter Thompson sitting down with Ernest Hemingway and what that conversation would be like. I think with Gene Smith, that would have been a great combination. Those two together, ultimately, probably would have ended in some kind of combustion of some sort. I did see him very, very much like Hunter, not interested in other people's ways of doing what he did. He felt very much like he had established his language, much like Hunter. And I think that anything after Gene Smith, he knew that there were going to be just Eugene Smith-like photographers.
I was pouring sweat. My blood is too thick for Nevada. I've never been able to properly explain myself in this climate. Okay. Be quiet. Be calm. Name? Frank? And press affiliation. Nothing else.
Hamburger stand. She's a waitress about 16 years old. They chopped the goddamn head off right there in the parking lot. Then they cut all kinds of holes in her and sucked out the blood. They wrapped the pineal gland, I think. Yeah. Now, how's your mama?
Ignore this terrible drug. Yeah. Pretend it's not happening. Fire! My name? Raoul Duke, on the list. Free lunch, final wisdom, total coverage.
I'm at the Cannes Film Festival. I'm talking to you from the Cannes Film Festival.
Oh, cool.
And which reminds me of you very much, actually, and particularly Fear and Loathing when you were here.
Yeah.
Many times here, actually. Yeah. Kind of
Yeah.
The Brave was here as well. I was talking to producer Jeremy Thomas the other night.
Yeah, that's right.
Reminded me all of that.
97, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you things like this, the festival? It reminds you as well that films like yours and Minamata, they need to be seen, right? They need to be discussed. They need to have audiences that react to them. And what does cinema mean to you, Johnny?
Cinema means a lot of things to me. I think that sometimes in our, I suppose as an actor, you make your choices based on the script, certainly, and hope that they all align with everyone's wishes. Sometimes you make films, sometimes you make movies. It's not like there's a difference in the work in terms of what I do. There's no difference in what I do. And my process is the same every time. There is a difference between film, cinema, and movies. Grand difference, I feel. And this, to me, was cinema. Minamata was cinema in the same way. Andrew's approach and Benoit's approach and the atmosphere that they created left you with essentially a frame to behave in, and there was that sort of freedom to create and show bits of hints of character, hints of the crack. So that's more like an exploration, whereas other times when you're making a movie for example, you get in there, they want the lines said, or the jokes, spewed, and you get out. That's it.
Try and get out. Sometimes they can't pull you back in, I think.
Yeah, well, but I feel like cinema and film are related in that way, but cinema really has it's a commitment, so it's not result driven. Nothing was ever result driven, even in scenes, because sometimes you'll take a left turn or a right turn and improvisation, and you don't know what's going to happen, but you're still within the confines or the context of the scene, so you're rolling, and to have the freedom to liberate the character to that degree, that's when you're really making something that is for the people, for let's say, you said before how important, festivals are for films like this, especially. Festivals are the way for this film to travel and be seen. I made a film called The Libertine many years ago, and the only way that film was ever going to be seen was if it were put into festivals and whatnot. And there once was a man called Harvey Weinstein who decided that the film should be shelved along with Disney. So first of all, you're very lucky if you get to make a film and it actually goes through and it's done. But to have gone through this experience and have Andrew and Benoit sort of lead the parade, along with these magnificent comrades in arms, these other actors.
Yeah,
really
reminded me of seeing The Libertine. Great cast, great actors you worked with in that. What was the first film you ever saw, Johnny?
I think the first film I ever saw was Cat Ballou. Jane Fonda and Lee Marvin. And, Lee Marvin was amazing, yeah. I think that was the first film I ever saw.
Where was that? Did you see it at the cinema? Yeah.
No, it was on TV when I was a kid. You know, the first time I was ever on a film set, this is an odd story. I'm not sure I ever told anyone this. First time I was ever on a film set, I was about 10 years old or something, because my family had driven to Disney World in Florida, because my father had some sort of business up there. And they were shooting a film in the hotel starring William Shatner and the dude that threw the hats, which is, from the Bond film.
The James Bond film, yeah.
Odd Job,
yeah.
So they're shooting a film in the hotel where we're staying, and there's a crowd behind, the barricades, and they're doing all the, the sticks and stuff. And as soon as they did the sticks and the guy said action, and I watched, and then I seen the actor sort of turn into an actor. I don't know why, but it made me laugh, And I laughed out loud, and, cut. And I'm here's this little kid in the crowd, and they warned me. And then the same thing, guy did the sticks, and I just went, and I burst out laughing. And I was actually taken off this. I was removed from the set at 10. I should have known then.
Well, it's great to see you on the screen in Minamata. It's great to see you back on set, doing what you're doing. What are you up to at the moment? Where are you? You look like you're...
I'm staying with a friend out in the sticks, and it's very beautiful. And I've just been a lot more music at the moment. Recording a lot of music. Well, I've been commandeered by possibly the greatest guitarist that's ever existed, Jeff Beck. We've been doing some music together and some recordings together, and it's so it's been really something, yeah.
Wow! And are we going to see you back on set again soon, or are they going to take that 10-year-old Johnny away and not let him back on?
One never knows. I reckon I'll keep making films, but now at this point, I think it's the golden hour to really make a distinction between the business of Hollywood and all that I've learned about the ins and outs and the comings and the goings and the wonderful people and the absolutely heinous people in it. I think it's sort of the golden opportunity to do exactly what I've wanted to do for years, which is make the films or the cinema that I want, stay away from limitations, not allow for any unintended fingers to get into the pie, which is to say, do films that don't need to be $300 million films, man. That's just that goes into a whole ludicrous formula. I mean, yeah.
Johnny, great to see you back on the screen.
Thank
Can't
you,
wait to
brother.
hear the album. Can't wait to see you on the screen again. And this new phase of your career, it sounds exciting, to be honest.
Thank you so much, man. It's always great talking to you.
Johnny Depp there, vowing to fight on here on Seen Any Good Films lately. I was speaking to him, of course, before it was revealed that he'd be getting the prestigious Donostia Award at the San Sebastian Film Festival in September. This is their sort of lifetime achievement recognition that comes at a very contentious time. I mean, even as I speak, Spanish female filmmakers have launched a protest about this. So, you know, before you cancel me, I've given air to quite a few of these reprobates over the shows. If you look back, Johnny Depp, Woody Allen, Noel Clarke, they've all been on this show, as well as plenty of female filmmakers and diverse talents. You know, it's very difficult to gauge what happens retrospectively or after the event. But I'm not taking down those shows for those people that have been cancelled by everyone. So there you have it. Johnny Depp fighting on, keeping his film career going, exclusive here on Seen Any Good Films Lately. And that brings me to the end of the show as I get ready for Green Man and a festival of film under the Welsh skies and a very big tent. The weather forecast looks all right. Doesn't look like it's going to rain. So see you there. Actually, rain is better for the cinema tent because that's when everyone leaves the music. There's some great artists at the festival that I'm going to be trying to see in between my films too. So let's go out on another blast from the dock. I'm premiering, thanks to Curzon, Jazz on a Summer's Day, re-released in cinemas on August the 30th, and featuring the super stylish Anita O'Day.
Sweet jump round, oh, gal made shade of sweet Georgia Brown. To left people like us, some needed sweet Georgia Brown. They all sang one life for sweet Georgia Brown. Tell you just why, no, I don't like much since she came. Well, it's a shame how she comes alive.